Hi there. I just thought I would make a little live stream. I've been responding to some comments, and yeah, so I thought I might as well do it as a live stream. So if you are watching, please say hi. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. It'd be great to see you. So without further ado, let's get started. So I've got over here my comments screen with some recent comments. These are actually 6 months ago, so I don't know if I'm going to go through all of the comments between then and now, but we'll see how far we get, and maybe we'll do this again if it's good. So I can't actually look at all of my windows at the same time. So if you somebody's saying the sound isn't working. Let me just check this. 1 2 1 2 should be working. Is anyone else? Can anyone hear me? Andrew can't hear me, but what about Uksa? You just Uksa Fatty, you just made a comment. Can you hear me? Hello, I'm from Morocco. I'm excited to ask you some questions. Great. Can you hear me though? I can't see any problems at my end, but somebody's saying they can't hear me. Okay, I'm just going to carry on assuming that you can hear me, because no one else is saying they can't hear me. Okay, great. Okay, well, let's get back to these comments. I will come back to the chat occasionally, and unfortunately I can't keep it open all the time because I need to look at this, look at the comment screen. Let's see. So let's start with this one here. When he said have, this is a comment on my video on the sound. When he said sound, it sounded like the Minecraft villager sound. Okay, I'm familiar with Minecraft, but I don't exactly know what you're talking about. But a couple of people seem to agree, so okay, that's great. Well, I'm glad you found that amusing, iMammoth. Thank you for watching. I'll give that a heart so you know I've seen it. Let's move up a little bit. What's the difference between j and z? Okay, let's bring up, I've got here the phonetic chart. So let's see. Oops, there we are. No, what is it? J or j and z? J and z. What is the difference? Z, j. Well, look at my lips first of all. J, s. No, that's a different sound. Z, z, and j, j. So z and j. So they're both voiced. I think z, j, z. I'm making the sound. They're weird sounds. They are very similar in many ways. I guess they're different in use as well. When do we use j? I can't think of any examples. When you put me on the spot like this, it's always difficult to think of examples. But what I think though is that it's we don't often say the z sound in the middle of words. It's difficult to sort of make that sound in the middle of a word, I think. Could be completely off base here, but yeah, they are very similar sounds. Hang on, I'm just seeing the comments here. Somebody's saying the stream is completely silent. That's Andrew again. Other people are saying they can hear me. Let me just ask here. Because if this isn't working... Okay. So it is working. A couple of people can't hear me. I'm assuming the problem must be at your end. I'm really sorry. Adia and I think it was Andrew. The problem must be your end because other people can hear me. Okay, let's get back to these comments. Good. So, yeah. Z and Z. They are very similar. It's difficult when I'm on the spot like this to pinpoint it, but maybe this is a comment that I'm going to have to make a video about on its own. But yeah, Z, Z and Z. Z, 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 Z. That's the difference. Can you see it? Remember, pronunciation is physical, so it's about the difference is going to be a physical difference. So hopefully you can see it there as I make those sounds. But I will try and make a video on that on its own one day. Okay, now this comment here, power is... Yeah, I know that in some of my very old videos, I did make some mistakes. Unfortunately, it's not possible for me to go back and change those videos. So those mistakes are going to be there forever. Unless I remake the whole video, which one day I may do. I would like to do that. So yeah, I am sorry. There are some mistakes, but I don't aim to be perfect. I just aim to be helpful, and hopefully I've done that. Okay, let's see this one. What about girly, party, usually, badly, slowly, quickly? Now these are... Oh, hold on. Let me switch back to this screen so you can see the comment I'm looking at. Yeah, sorry, I was talking about this comment here about the mistakes. But anyway, yes, this one here. What about girly, party, usually, badly, and quickly? Okay, so you're commenting on this video, Timot, about the I sound. So those sounds are not the I sound. Let me bring the phonetic chart back up again. So this video is about this sound, I. But those sounds that you're in your examples are this one, the E sound. Girly, slowly, quickly, badly, usually. So it is the longer E sound, E. The sound that we're talking about in that video you're commenting on is the I sound. So it's a shorter sound. Okay, let's move on then. Candida Rodriguez says, the best I've heard, even the others. Great, well thank you very much. Phonetic chart explained. Yeah, that is a video. That's my second most popular video. And a lot of people tell me it's the best explanation they've ever heard of the phonetic chart. So yes, it's a video I'm very proud of. Thank you very much, Candida. Another video here. Thank you, teacher. I liked. Great. Thank you. Please do like and subscribe to the videos. Obviously, you guys are already subscribed because you were alerted about this live stream. But yeah, do give them a thumbs up because it really does help. I mean, as you know, all YouTubers always bang on about that. But so yes, please do that. Thank you. Let's have a quick look back at the live stream chats. Great, people are telling me they can hear me. I can hear you. Sorry, my headphones were goofing. No worry, Andrew. Thanks for watching. So, Flavio, I suggest a video about the difference between British tea and American tea. That's interesting. So, Flavio, what specifically... I can't pinpoint my finger on what is the difference between American and British tea. We drink tea more in England, in the UK. In fact, when they drink tea, they drink it cold. We drink it hot. But that's not what you're talking about. Yes, actually, I do know what you mean. Yes, now that I'm thinking about it, in British English, we don't pronounce a T in a lot of words, or we do. Well, we're meant to, but a lot of sort of real English, street English, the the T's are not pronounced properly. So it would be correct to say British, but a lot of people will say British. I try not to do that because I think it sounds silly. It sounds wrong, but some people do. A lot of people do. Yeah. So yeah, it would make a good video because in a lot of ways the Americans are right, I guess, in that if to pronounce that more strongly. I think it should be pronounced more strongly. It is meant to be in British English. It's more a sort of regional variation of the language rather than, it's not that British English we don't do that. In British English we do. It's just a lot of British people don't speak properly in the real world. Does that make sense? But yes, that's another great idea for a video. I'll add that to the list. So where do we get to? Okay, the pronunciation. Here's a comment from Edgar. The pronunciation in British English, right? Yes, all my videos are about British English because I'm British. That's what I know. If I might make a video, I have made a couple of videos comparing British English and American English, but I'm British. I'm going to make English videos focusing on British English. Suprita, yes, it helped me a lot. Great, thank you. That is my goal. That's all I am trying to do. So Taj, you're here. Great to see you, Taj. Your leave impact. Thanks, teacher. Well, thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Taj again, thanks. Pakistani reactions. Can you tell me about articulatory chart? I'm really sorry. This is the first time I've ever heard of that. I will try and have a look into what that is, and if I think it is going to be useful for English Language Club members, I will make a video about it. There is the, what is it? I have got a video planned on another chart. I can't remember what it's called. Can't remember what it's called. It's about vowels. It's about the wider chart and how the pronunciation of vowels. Cardinal vowels, that's it. The cardinal vowel sounds chart. I am planning and I'm writing a video about that as we speak. So yeah, I am. That should be one of my next videos. Although I haven't made as many videos recently as I would have liked, but I do have a few ideas, a few videos that I am writing and planning. So there's just been a bit of a delay, but yeah, do stay subscribed, do watch this space, do click the notification bell, because there will be videos soon, especially if you keep letting me know you're enjoying them. Let's see. Suprita, tell me one thing in a writing exam which spelling I should write, British or American, like centre or centre. Well, I guess this depends on the exam. It should be clear from your course, whatever the exam, whatever course you've done to lead up to that exam, it should be clear whether you're studying British or American English. So yeah, go with that. I would also say, I mean, if I was examining and somebody used, I wouldn't mark people down too much for using, as long as it's a correct spelling, whether it's British or English, British or American, I would accept it. That's what I would say. Mr. Ecuador, what do you think about learning pronunciation with apps? Can we rely on them? Of course, they are not as good as a native speaker tutor, but are they a good alternative? They may well be. I guess there's lots of apps out there. There's one in particular that I am planning to look into and maybe partner with soon. So yeah, I would say apps are definitely worth trying out. And I guess you've got to take each one on its individual merit. If you find it helpful, great. If not, uninstall it. I will show you one thing, actually. I have made my own app, which you may not be aware of. Let me try and find this for you. I've got my phone here. Let's see, where is it? Because I haven't made many videos since I made the app. So you can see it's just like the phonetic chart there, and I'll hold it near the microphone. You press the. It's just an interactive phonetic chart. Let me put the sound up. Right. So when you press the button, it makes the sounds, and that's my voice. So yeah. There's my app. It's just an interactive phonetic chart, like I said, very simple. But yeah, if you haven't downloaded that already, check it out. It's very simple for now, but if lots of people download it, start using it, I might start looking to develop that further. It's never going to be super sophisticated because I'm not a developer, but there are other apps out there that are going to be really good, or at least a lot better. And yeah, you might find them helpful. I would say give them a chance. Yeah, try them out. Articulatory chart. Pakistani reactions. Yes. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't get that first time. Articulatory chart. Again, yeah, it's not something I'm super familiar with. I will look into it and see if I think it's going to be helpful. Sir, for your efforts, I get good mark in spoken English. Really, thank you. Okay, great. Well, I mean, that means a lot to me. That's the reason that I'm doing this, to help people. So when people tell me comments like that say, because of me, they got good marks. I mean, that's what this is all about. So thank you. Let's see. Okay, so IELTS. So this is the person I think commenting about the exams. Going back to the exams question, whether you should use British or American English. So some of these specific exams, like IELTS or FC First Certificate or CAE Cambridge Advanced, those are specifically British English exams. So in those cases, you should be using British English. Cell PIP. I've not heard of that one. I guess maybe that's an American English one. But yeah, like I said, each exam will be specifically tailored to either British English or American English, and it should be clear right from the beginning, right from the time you start preparing for that, which one you should be using. But again, I still think they're going to be forgiving if you as long as you're using one or the other correctly. So I mispronounce. Actually, it says I mispronounce some words. How can I work on them and get it corrected? Well, it must be some in particular sounds that you're getting wrong. And if you know what those sounds are, then you can look up my video on that sound and really get down to, what is the actual mistake that you're making on a physical level. Because remember, I always say this, pronunciation is physical. So if you're pronouncing words wrong, you're doing something wrong physically. So figure out what that is and focus on that. Let's see. I got 98 out of 100 on my phonetics exam, thanks to your help. Okay, well that's great, sexy horseman. Thank you so much. I'm really pleased for that. Edgar, I'm really new to this channel. I'm new to this channel. I started to learn about the phonetic chart with your videos. They're so helpful. Great. I'm really pleased. So I'm fluent in speaking, but I find that my vowels kind of suck. How should a person that has bad pronunciation habits, deeply ingrained, go about relearning how to speak? This is a great question. I have one student at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't have time for lots and lots of students. I do have one though at the moment who's lived in the UK for decades, but he feels as that he mispronounces some words. So he's in exactly the same situation that you're in. Again, same thing that I said to who is it before? Akshit. You've got to identify what your issues are and get down to the physicality, because pronunciation is physical, correct pronunciation is physical, mistakes are physical mistakes. So is your tongue in the right place? Are your lips in the right place? Are your lips making the right shape? Like for example, a common mistake you hear even among native speakers is they say I think that blah blah blah. They say f instead of th, and I think, I don't know why it's a difficult sound to make, but I know that in some languages they don't have the th sound. So when trying to make it, they've got no idea physically how to make it, and the closest thing that they're accustomed to doing is going th. But the difference, so it's no good just saying no, don't say f, say th, because they're trying. What you got to say is, okay, what am I doing wrong? What I'm doing wrong is I'm making the sound between my lip and my teeth, when I should be making the sound between my tongue and my teeth. So you need to stick your tongue out a little bit to make that sound correctly, and that physically is something that people are not very accustomed to doing. So you do need to sort of give your mouth a bit of a workout, I suppose, sometimes, and force yourself to make these shapes, do these things that you're maybe not accustomed to doing. Does that make sense? What's the name of your app? It's just called, if you search English Language Club in the Google Play Store, unfortunately it's only on Android, it's not on iPhone. If you search English Language Club in the Android Play Store, you should find it. Okay. Edgar, about your app, why is it not for iOS? Well, I use an Android phone, so I wouldn't be able to see it or test it or make sure it's working on iPhone. I made it with very, very limited resources. I wasn't able to make it myself. I had to sort of outsource it to someone. That's why it's not on iOS yet. It would have to be, I would have to make a whole new app. It would effectively be a whole new app for the iOS. That's why it's not on iOS. Yes, maybe one day I'll do an iOS version. We'll see. So, Tone Camilla, I think it's difficult to know what the sound names are. Do you have a good way of reasoning my way to know that, for example, T is the voiceless alveolar stop sound? I would say, this channel is aimed at people learning English as a foreign language, and so to do that, you don't really need to know what the actual technical names of the sounds are. If you're studying phonetics, then you may want to get more into that. So that's not what this channel is about. It's not it's not my background. So I don't know all these technical terms either. I just sort of, when I've made the videos, I've had a script and I've written them with research, so I've looked the names up when I've needed to, but I don't remember them all, and I don't have any need to or any use for it. There is a logic to it. The way that they're named is it does describe how the sound is made. So voiceless means it's unvoiced. So you don't use your vocal cords. And then alveolar stop. I think that refers to the little ridge behind your teeth. So to make that sound, and it's a stop sound. So I think you're stopping the air, and then as it's released, that's where you make the sound. So you stop it at the alveolar ridge. So yeah, they do describe how the sound is made. So learn what each of the words that are used in the names refer to, what part of the mouth and things, and then you'll find that that you've got a better logic. You understand the logic of how the names are constructed, and then you'll be able to remember them better. That's what I would say. So Santa says, your English is excellent. Thank you very much. It is my first language. I do speak a bit of Spanish, but not a huge amount. So it's kind of the only language I speak. So it should be good. But you know what? I think it's got better since I started teaching English, because I've learned to speak more clearly. I've learned to use less, like what I was saying earlier about the British, when some people say British instead of British. I've learned to sort of stop doing those kind of very common mistakes. So yes, well, thank you very much. I think it's got better through teaching it as well. Yeah. Actually, it says, I guess wrong pronunciation is mainly because of your tongue placement. Well, yes, it's always going to be physical, not necessarily just the tongue, but yeah. So Peter, can you suggest me which course I should opt or choose? CELTA or TESOL? Okay. So these are both teaching qualifications. I can't really suggest for you. It depends on where you want to teach. I would say I personally have a CELTA, which is a Cambridge English Language Teaching for Adults course, and I only did that because the school that I was looking at working for said that was the qualification they wanted. So you need to think about where it is that you want to work and find out what's the qualification that they require. But then also, it probably doesn't, to an extent, it may not matter. So in some ways, just do the one that is easiest for you to do in terms of which ones are available for you to do close by. You mean which? I mean which one has the better career opportunity? I'm not sure that either of them have the best career opportunity. They're really both just a foot in the door, and then it's down to you. Then it's down to how good you are, and how much you know, and how passionate you are about teaching. Now, look, I'm not the best person to talk about this because I used to be an English teacher as my day job, but that's not my day job anymore. I do still make these YouTube videos. I am still passionate about it, but I'm more passionate about the YouTube channel and building an online resource than I am about the methods of teaching big groups of people. I haven't done that for a long time, and that's very different. So although I'm teaching the same thing, the teaching methods that I'm now using and that I'm more passionate about are not what you would learn on a CELTA or a TESOL. At least they weren't when I did my CELTA. I don't know if they teach YouTube video making on a CELTAs these days. Probably not. So where Zabi3000 says, where are you originally from? Well, I'm originally from just outside London. I was born in a place called Twickenham, and then I grew up mostly in a place called Kingston, which is just south of London. Then I spent 7 years living in South America. That's when I started teaching. I was living in Paraguay, and now I live in the west of England, near Bristol. So yeah. Pakistani reaction says, Mister, can you pronounce all long vowels for me with examples? You're putting me on the spot here. It's really difficult to think of examples on the spot, but I will pronounce the sounds for you. Let me go back onto that screen. So on this version of the chart, the long vowels are the ones on the lighter green, but they're also, you see that we've got dark green and light green. The light green ones are the longer ones. But when you see the phonetic script written normally, you'll see the two little dots afterwards. Those indicate that it's a longer sound. So we've got E. I'm not going to think of examples. You can go and look at the videos that I've done on each of these individual sounds, or go to my website, where I've got a page for each of these sounds, and you can see some examples there. But yeah, E and oo, and then we've got or, and R. Those are the long vowels. Okay. Let's see, where did we get to? Where are we from? Are you planning to make videos about history of phonetics, or in English, or how they evolve in Europe? No, not really. Again, this is English Language Club. It's aimed at people who are learning English as a second or third language. So I don't really want to get into history of phonetics. I don't really even want to get too much into phonetics, because that's a huge subject that goes way beyond what is useful for English language learners. But I do appreciate that a lot of people find my channel because they are interested in phonetics. So everyone is welcome. But I do want to keep the channel focused on people learning English as a second language, because as you'll see, I don't get the opportunity to make a huge amount of videos. I wish I could make more, and there's so many that I could make focused on that core audience that I'm never going to get the chance to get into that kind of thing. So sorry about that if you were hoping I was. Let's see. Tone says, again, to specify, my classmates and I have to learn the phonetic names in our class to become English teachers in Norway. We have used your videos a lot to learn them, but I can't remember them. Okay. Well, I don't know. That seems silly to me, that you have to learn them to become English teachers. You should only have to learn them to become phonetics teachers. And phonetics covers all languages, not just English. That's my opinion. But like I said, there is sort of a code. You know, each of the words that gets used in those names refers to something physical. So break them down and figure out what each part refers to, and it should be a lot easier to remember. Let's see, Miguel. Wow, I'd not considered that think instead of think and omitting the T's were mistakes. I guess you also consider that omitting the H's, as in going home instead of going home, is a mistake too. I mean, maybe mistake's not the right word, but it is a variation. So it's a regional variation. So we sometimes talk about RP as a form of English, which is what we normally teach. That refers to received pronunciation. I guess you could say it's a specific accent. And in some ways it's kind of the standard. So that's why it's what we teach. It's what I teach, and I guess it's, as I've taught, it's how my language has evolved, or not evolved, but moved towards that. So I guess mistake's the wrong word. Apologize for that, but yeah, it's not RP, I suppose. I almost forgot. No, Edgar says, I almost forgot I have a school project, English related, at my university. Is there any way to get in touch with you to give you more information. Yeah, I mean, contact details are on my website. You can, I think there's a form on there you can use to send me a message. I have to confess now though, I don't get a chance to check those messages very often. Like I said, I do have a day job. I just do this in my spare time, and as you'll know, I don't get, as you'll see from the videos that I put out or not put out over recently, I don't get as much time as I would like. So I can't guarantee that I will be able to talk about your project individually, unfortunately. Okay. So diphthongs. Ali says diphthongs, please. And someone else saying, what are triphthongs? Well, diphthongs. These are the diphthongs. Sorry, let me just see myself. Diphthongs here in red. Diphthongs are when you have two, I'll move over here, two sounds, two vowel sounds within the same syllable. So we've got ear, a, ua, oi, what's that one? O, air, I, and ow. Yeah, if you want to know more, check out my video on diphthongs, and then I've done videos on all of those diphthongs. Each one of them individually has its own video, so check them out if you want to know more. Now this one, again, Pakistani Reaction says, what are triphthongs? I get this question a lot, and I really must make a video about triphthongs. Triphthongs are like diphthongs, except instead of two sounds, there's three. So yeah, there's a few, and they do. I did make a video about it, but really I made a video about why I haven't made a video about it, and really the reason is there's and I said there's three. No, there's a few. It's just they're not on this sort of standard English phonetic chart. So I guess they're just the next level, which I don't think people really need to go to if they're trying to improve their English. That's why I haven't done a video about it yet, but I will get more into that a little bit. I do think that's worth doing. Can you give us some titles of films or TV shows that you recommend for learning pronunciation? I don't know if there's any one in particular that's specifically good for pronunciation. I did in my last live stream that I did with pronunciation with Emma. We did talk about movies that are good. So maybe check that out. It might have been the video that we did on her stream. I can't remember if it was on one on her stream or on my stream. But anyway, yeah, we did talk about videos, films that were good. I think we talked about things like The Crown, maybe things that are just sort of very British and have, you know, British sort of old school British accents. What's the one about the big house with the rich people living in? I can't remember the name of it. Okay, maybe asking this question doesn't help me. Miguel, this is. Maybe asking this question doesn't help me, and I should pay more attention to the physical aspect of it. But nevertheless, is the schwa closer to a Spanish E or an A? Right. Well, a Spanish E or A. I'm not. I know that in Spanish, the vowel sounds are all a lot more consistent, so it would be E and A. Is it more similar? Well, it's. I'll just say the three sounds, and then you can decide yourself which ones it's most similar to. So, E, A, U. The schwa sound is the. Is that the one? Yeah, schwa is U. So, yeah. It's not really closer to either one in particular. It's kind of, It's kind of right in the middle, but also in its own space. But if we go back to the chart, so we've got what was it? E, a, and So where's a? Yeah. So e, a, I guess it's close. I mean, on the chart, it's closer to the e, and that does mean that it is, because the sounds are laid out on the chart in a way that relates to the position of the tongue and how open the mouth is and things like that. I guess it's closer to the e, but it's so different. It's different enough that it doesn't really matter which one it's closer to, because trying to say it as a variation of the e isn't going to help you say it right. You just, it's a much more sort of guttural sound. It's much softer as well. It's you say it. It's said more kind of passively. It's not really. Your mouth just goes into a very neutral position, and it comes from the guts or the throat. Like mother. Does that make sense? I wouldn't try to relate it too much to another sound. Pakistani reaction says, define phonemics. Okay, again, I said I'm not a huge expert on phonetics and things, if you need a definition, you'd better off using Google than asking me. Sorry. Downton Abbey. That's the TV show about the big house of the rich people that I was thinking of. Thank you, AJ. Edgar, thank you very much. I'll try and get in touch with you on your website. Great. Look forward to hearing from you. Pakistani reactions again. Sir, I found a great teacher, so I want to learn more. So tell me on what time you come again. Okay. So I am not doing live streams on any kind of regular schedule at the moment. I don't really know how to ask you. I mean, all I would say is make sure you're subscribed, make sure you click the little bell icon, and then hopefully your phone will ping or something every time I'm about to start a live stream. But yes, thank you. I'm really glad that you are enjoying this video. I've enjoyed talking to you. So I do hope that whenever I do another one, you can join me. Look forward to seeing you again. Amu Jayan or Yayan, I'm an English teacher from India. I played all your videos in my class last year. They helped my kids a lot. Thank you so much. Wow, that's great. I mean, I look at my YouTube statistics and I see that every 24 hours I teach like 700 hours. I have like 700 hours of view time or something like that. Yes, it's kind of a bit strange to be thinking that I am actually teaching in classes and on computer screens and phones all over the world. So that's really cool. Thank you, and I'm really glad that you're finding it helpful. Hope you are telling all your students that they should subscribe to me and click the bell icon so that they can come along and join the live streams as well. Yes, it's really great that teachers are using my videos. All I would ask in return is that you plug the channel itself and try to get your students to be subscribers as well. Yeah, thanks very much. So where are we? Okay, Pakistani reaction saying, yeah, you've subscribed. Great, thanks very much. I'm going to get back to some more comments then from the past. Let's see. Let's bring that back up. There we go. So, moving up. When you die in Minecraft, 209. Presumably the sound I make on the phonetic chart at 2 minutes and 9 seconds is similar to the sound you make when you die in Minecraft. I'm not familiar with that, but that's funny. And, yep, interesting. What is it about the video that I did on the sound that seems to just attract lots and lots and lots of silly comments that don't really make any sense. I don't know. A lot of people find that video, I think, for the wrong reason. That's why I get that. Okay, somebody called God is asking me how. I kind of find that quite ironic, that God would ask me for advice. Anyway, this is the best one among all the IPA demonstration videos. Like I said, I said earlier, this video, Phonetic Chart Explained, is one of my most popular videos. A lot of people find it really useful. But Danny, thank you so much if you're watching in the future at some point. Comments like that really, make my day. That's what this is all about. Kishav Maheshwawi. What is above 1,000? Okay, I don't know. This is a comment on the sound. So, I mean, that is what that sound is in the word 1,000. So, presumably he's referring to that. Somebody else, Lali, referring to a specific sound at a specific time. I don't know. On these videos, the interactive phonetic chart, there's this one, and I did an updated version with the colours, so it looked more like this version. They used to be interactive, so you could actually click on the screen, and it would play that sound. That's because YouTube used to allow you to use these things called what do they call them? Annotations. They used to have these annotations that you could use, but YouTube eventually disabled that feature because it was, I guess, people were overusing it and abusing it, so it made videos sort of look messy. You may remember. So they got rid of that and they replaced it with the sort of end screens which you get. You'll have probably seen. So unfortunately these videos kind of stopped working, but despite that, this video that this person's commenting on is still the video that gets the most views on all my videos. I suppose it is still useful just to sort of go through all of the sounds and hear them. So yeah, that's why I've left it up, even though it doesn't really work anymore. Anyway, moving on. Amy says, good guidance. Thank you very much. I always thought it was I. Thanks. Yeah, now, as well as getting this video on the sound, getting a lot of attention from people looking for something else, I think, the sound is one of the most misunderstood sounds, at least according to the comments that I see and the comments I get on my channel, because I think that symbol is used in the alphabets that are used, I think, in like Norway and Denmark. I think. So, but when it's used there, it's pronounced differently. So I get lots of people telling me, "Oh, you're pronouncing it wrong." Well, I'm not, because I'm pronouncing it the way it's used in the International Phonetic Alphabet. The way you're talking about it is the way it's used in a different context. It's an endless source of confusion, and I don't expect it to go away, unfortunately, because no matter how much I explain, people always misunderstand. Anyway, this guy is definitely one of the best English teachers I've found online so far. Well, thank you very much, Nakamura. That is one of the best YouTube comments I've read in a long time as well. So thank you very much. Oof, that's probably a sound on that chart. Yep, next one. Good channel, sir. Thank you very much. Good explanation. Thank you very much. Good from you, Sit. I think you mean sir. Good for you, sir. Okay, thank you, Aladani. 222. I think what you're getting at here, game or music, is the fact that there's two words, or 3 words that are all pronounced in exactly the same way but spelt differently. And yeah, they're pronounced the same way, and this is the sound that they use. Two as in two things. Two as in I'm going to go home now. You know, going to, like the preposition to, and then too as in too much, which is T-double-O. 3 words with exactly the same pronunciation. Bit confusing. Game of music and end. Okay, I think he's just giving another art example of the eh sound. Let's skip through some of this. You forgot upside down R as in T. Okay, so there is another symbol, or there are lots of other symbols in phonetics that or not sort of phonemes in phonetics that get used in other words. But the chart that I have, the chart that we refer to a lot, this one, is all the sounds that are used in British English. So it's not all the phonemes in phonetics. And there are different sounds in American English. In fact, I'll give you one example. This sound here, oh, they don't use that in American English. They don't say, for example, they don't say not. They say not. So it's more like not. Yeah, so that symbol is actually just not on the American version of this chart. And I think what this person is referring to is the fact that there is a upside down R, like what this person puts it in. Yeah, I haven't put it in because I'm teaching British English, not American English. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out and giving me the opportunity to clarify. Let's see. Meringue 100. Infinitive is the name given to the original form of a verb. For example, play, cook, listen are called infinitive. But you can also say it's the verb in its original form. I hope that helps. I'm a teacher too. Okay, thank you for Meringue 100. That is helpful. I would add that you also have the to infinitive where you say to play, to cook, to listen. And I think that if you were to sort of directly translate to some languages like Spanish, that the word cocinar, which is to cook, it translates as to cook, not just cook. So that's why I've seen in some teaching books, some textbooks refer to the infinitive as these words, cook, listen, play. And I've seen other books that refer to them as to cook, to listen, to play. Because I was teaching in South America to Spanish speakers, I prefer to call the infinitive to play, to cook, because it translates better to Spanish. But, you know, grammar is not... it's not like the foundation that the language is built on. Grammar is like the scaffolding that's built up around it so that you can examine it better. In some ways it doesn't really exist. Grammar, it's made up. Whereas the language is an organic thing that's grown. The grammar is just a tool we use to examine it. So don't get too, and it's inconsistent. Some people refer to some things as the infinitive, some people refer to it as the to infinitive or the base form. There's lots of different words that get thrown around to refer to the same thing. Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen here, Arnie. Let me go back here. Yeah, looking at this comment here about the to infinitive. Anyway, let's go back to I'll go back to the live chat, see what's going on. We've got 24 people watching. So, it's 3:30 in the morning in Pakistan and I'm with you. Thank you. I'm really glad, I'm really happy you're here. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to continue, but yeah. What is your goal setting formula? Says AJ. That's an interesting question. Because one thing that I've been thinking about lately in this sort of new phase of what is the English Language Club all about, and that is that everyone's learning English for a reason, right? In fact, what would be really cool is if everyone now think about this. Why are you learning English? Tell me in the comments now, why do you want to learn English? Because it's always going to be a means to an end. Some people say, oh yeah, my goal this year is to learn English, but that's not really enough. You want to learn English for a reason. Maybe to improve your career, because you want to go to university, or you want to travel. And I think it's really important to have that larger goal, that deeper goal in mind at all times, and not lose sight of it. When people are forced to learn English because they have to for school or whatever, then those are the people who will find it most difficult to be motivated and are least likely to actually learn. I think when you know why you want to do something, and you know what the deeper goal is, then it's much easier to do that. So yeah, what was the question again? What's your goal setting formula? I don't think I have an exact formula. Let me know what you mean by that, AJ. Maybe you've got a formula of your own. Let me know. Hello, I'm from Brazil. Hello, Brazil. Hello, puppy in Brazil. Noor. Hi, please give me some examples about triphthong. I mean, I don't want to get into that in this video. Like I said, I don't have all that information in my head. I just don't want to get into that now in this video. But I will make a video in the future. Hello. Here is Tony from Angola. Hello, Tony. Thank you for your help, and I wish you all the best. Well, I'm really glad you are finding the videos useful and helpful, and I wish you all the best as well. How can you improve phonetic ND to get good marks? Forgive me, what do you mean by ND? It's probably a common abbreviation I should be aware of. How can you improve? Get good marks. I mean, it's like everything. You just have to study it. I guess like I said before, you need to know what the deeper goals are. So you want to improve. The only reason that you would study phonetics is because you want to either improve your own pronunciation, as most people on this channel are that's probably most people on this channel's reason, or maybe you are interested in the production of speech in general. That's what phonetics is all about. So I guess if you want to improve it, you need to understand why it's helpful and why it's good to know. So yeah, that would be my advice there. You're the best. I'm from Morocco. Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. What's the difference between car and cat? Well, let's go back to the phonetic chart. Car and cat, they're very different sounds. So car, I mean, obviously it's just the last sound we're looking at. Car, R is car, and cat is cat. I mean, the two letters are next to each other on the keyboard, so I guess people might mistake them in that way. But other than that, they're very different sounds. Yeah. Let's move on. Mohammed, is this sentence correct? How are you going? What does it mean? No, that sentence is not correct. So there are several greetings and you're mixing two of them up. You could say, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going, Mohammed? It's just a greeting. But it's not how are you going. You can say, how are you? How are you? But not how are you going. I mean, people would know what you mean. But yeah, you're mixing up how are you and how are you doing. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's not quite right. But yeah, both those things, I guess they mean a different thing, but the way they're used is the same, and it's just as a greeting. Hope that's helpful. Miguel, what are the equivalent vowel pairs as in short and long version? I'm jotting this one down. Okay. So E is kind of a long version of I, and U is sort of a long version of is kind of a long version of and O is a long version of O, and R is a long version of, well, it's sort of a long version of both of these, A and A. They're very similar. Yeah, A, R. Does that? So, but, you know, so yeah, the chart is laid out in a way that should be, it should help. That's why we have the chart. Is that helpful? I learned English by chance, lots of immersion, and one day I found myself being kind of good. Same with Japanese. I'm learning it now with a definite purpose and just enjoying the learning process. Great. So you are lucky, because a lot of people are not like that. I'm not like that. I really have to sort of study and understand the logic of the grammar and things to really understand things. I can't just learn, how did you say, by chance, through immersion, or at least it's very difficult for me to. And so I think different people work in different ways. So you're lucky that language learning will be easier for you than for other people. So yeah, that's great. Lucky you. I want to. So Mr. Ecuador says, I want to continue learning English because most new discoveries and knowledge are written in English first, and pronunciation is important to be understood by foreigners. That's just some really interesting points. Yes, I think you're responding to earlier when I was saying about, you know, why do you want to learn English? So yeah, that's really good reasons. Anyone else? Why are you learning English? Because no one's learning English just for the sake of it. I'm going to go back to YouTube, and then when I come back, hopefully I'll have some comments about why you're learning English. So let's see. I'm going to skip these. They're not really saying anything useful. Shameen says, thank you so much for this great class. I understand what is monophthongs, and I had seen diphthongs first. Greetings from Kerala, India. Well, greetings to you too, Shameen, and I'm glad you found that useful. Mirtha says it was so helpful. Thank you, Mirtha. Peter saying it's pronunciation, not pronunciation. Yes, I know, I made that mistake in one of my old videos. Like I said, I'm not trying to be perfect, I'm just trying to be helpful. And I know I have made mistakes, especially in the older videos where I didn't know so much about what I was talking about. I've learned along the way. Making these videos is what's taught me. Is this IPA phonetic transcription, says Clarence? Yes, it is. And this is the thing that a lot of people misunderstand. They think I'm talking about the normal, pronunciation in other alphabets. Anyway, yes. Team Golden, bruh, that's not how you say it. I'm from Denmark and we use much. Well, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. In Danish, you probably use that symbol in a different way to how it's used in the International Phonetic Alphabet, and that is what I am referring to, Team Golden. Thanks to your lessons, I have been finally able to pronounce the words correctly. This is the best method by far if you really want to master the language. So this is on my video about responding to someone who is saying that IPA is useless, and this guy is, I guess, saying that he found it really helpful, Jefferson. So Jefferson, yeah, I'm really glad that you found IPA useful. International Phonetic Alphabet. It is useful. It is a useful tool for learning how to pronounce English. Mr. Cohen here, I don't think that's particularly helpful. Olive, you erroneously refer to the consonant as a palato-alveolar when it's actually, in actuality, it is purely alveolar. The alveolo-palatal affricative is j, a similar but separate sound entirely. Okay, like I said, I'm not super. You can get really into phonetics, Olive. I'm sure you're an expert on this more than me, and like I said, I do make mistakes. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be helpful. I do apologize though for the mistakes I make, but I promise I will continue to make them, even though it's not my intention. Imagine using this as code. Well, it wouldn't work very well on me. How do you know how to read? Now this is a video. This comments on a very, very old video, again where I was using the annotations feature, which is now disabled. So that video is probably really not working very well. Anyway, Brian, good, thank you. I assume he's referring to the video as good. Thank you. Bumble Noodle says he's speaking the language of gods. I think, again, referring to the fact that this symbol is like Norse, used in the Norse alphabet, and Norse is like the language of gods, I suppose. I don't know. Manu Shakthingnagar, not clear. Okay, again, there might. This is that video, which, like I said, doesn't really work anymore properly. So sorry about that. Robert says very helpful. Thank you, Robert. Let's see, what's this comment? There's a long one. Okay, there's a whole conversation here. Let's have a look. On the a sound, someone's given a whole load more examples. Similar to hand. Have, that, and. Similar to hand. Have, hand. The A sounds different. No, and then Christopher saying, they're exactly the same. I'm native. It seemed he may have slightly mumbled hand. Okay, maybe when I was reading the examples, I did mumble the sound. Maybe. Yeah. Christopher says, they're most definitely not exactly the same. He's a native speaker as well. Well, this is a really interesting thing. So we've got two native English speakers arguing about the correct pronunciation of a word. Let's see. Zen like the A is the same as the IPA for each of these A's are the same. Not sure what that means. Okay. Christopher Wood, depends, I suppose, UK or US. Exactly. Yes, it does. And also, not only that, it depends on other regional variations as well. I think if you were in the north of England, you might say hand, and so it's more of a. No, that's still a. Yeah. Well, anyway, regional variations. British English, American English makes a difference here. Okay, then he starts to get rude. Anyway, yeah, why is it that people on the internet start to argue with each other? Let's see, moving on. This is the voiced post-alveolar affricative, not the voiced alveolar palatal affricative. Noob. Yeah, I am a noob. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am a noob. Like I said, I don't try to be perfect, just try to be helpful. Yeah, moving on. This helped me a lot. Thanks for sharing your knowledge about phonetics. You're welcome, Jan. Bursa says, Bjork brought me here. Cool. Thank you, Bjork. I'm still going to pronounce it as I. Okay, it's up to you. That may be how it's pronounced in other contexts. Mozem Ovi. Wow, great, sir. Thank you. Again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. You're welcome, Ruby. Congratulations for this video. The video is very good. That's on my letter G video. Okay, I'm not letter, phoneme G, G video. Let's go back to the comments and see what's going on there. Where did we get to? Okay, Miguel, what are the equivalent vowel pairs? Okay, I've done that one. Miguel, I learned English by chance. Oh yeah, we did that. Mr. Ecuador, I want to continue to learn English because yeah, we did that one. Okay, Miguel, English is kind of required in today's laboral market. Apart from that, it gives you access to a lot of content on the internet and allows you to communicate with people from all around the world. That's a really, really interesting comment because the internet is still relatively new in the kind of human, compared to human existence. 20 years ago, people weren't really using the internet much, a little bit. But 25 years ago, certainly it was a tiny amount of people. So do you think that with that in mind, do you think that maybe 50 years from now, things could look very, very different? I mean, English could really be a kind of much more global language. I mean, it already kind of is a global language, but there's still lots of people that don't speak it. But now, even the poorest people well, not the poorest, but a lot of, very relatively poor people in small, poor countries, they still have smartphones and things, and they can still view this sort of content on the internet that you're talking about. So it may well be, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, that English starts to spread, even more as a result of that. Interesting discussion. Irina Romanova says, there are many accents in English. I'm confused which English should be studied. I mean, the pronunciation and dialect. Well, this is why when we teach British English, we normally refer to we stick to the RP version, which is received pronunciation. That's kind of the standard. It's considered the standard. In American English, I'm not sure if there is one that's considered standard. But yeah, I think if you're learning English, you should start with RP, because in a way, everything else is kind of a variation of that. So if you start with that, you should be understood by most people, and yeah, if you study sort of Scottish English with a Scottish accent and Scottish idiomatic expressions and Scottish uses of words which might be slightly different to RP, then combine that with your own accent that you're going to bring to it, you're going to sound very, very strange. So yeah, RP is, I would say, if you're learning British English, you should be learning RP. Stick to RP. Sometimes I refer to that as correct and everything else is wrong, but that's not right. Forgive me for saying that. But yeah, I do think you should try to learn RP first. Learning correct pronunciation. This is Amu Yayan again saying, learning correct pronunciation is important, but I've met some native speakers who made me roll my R's mid conversation. That made me so self-conscious. They made you, as in what? They stopped you speaking and they said you should roll your R? Or maybe you were rolling your R because we don't do that so much in English, then yeah, because so when you say rolling your R, you mean like going r. I'm ready. We don't do that in English. We just say I'm ready. A lot of British people can't do that, and that, I think, that is actually a symbol on the chart, the rolled R, but we don't have it on this chart because this chart refers to British English. So if you are doing that, and people are pointing it out, well, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. You shouldn't change the way you speak, unless people are misunderstanding. But yeah, I mean, if you feel that it's a mistake you're making, then you should work on it. But if it's just an accent thing, then that's not necessarily a mistake. So, but yeah, it's, again though, when you're learning another language, you can't be afraid of making mistakes. You mustn't feel self-conscious about making mistakes. So, hopefully these people aren't deliberately making you feel self-conscious, making fun of you. That's wrong. I mean, that's really not helpful. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, don't feel self-conscious. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just make sure you learn from them. So yeah. Amalia says, it's very important to speak English in a formal way. For example, I consider if you want to speak it, you must know grammar and phonetics. Grammar to write and phonetics to pronounce it correctly. Yeah, and I also think that, I guess you could say that RP is what I've been saying you should learn, is what the variation of English you should learn. It could be considered as more formal. It's also easier. In formal English, we use less idiomatic. It's less idiomatic expressions, less of the things that make things complicated. So it's much better as a foundation on which to then build to have if you want to learn more regional variations and things like that. That's why, another reason why I think RP is what you should focus on learning. Kevsa says, what's the subject? Well, there's no subject of this live stream. I guess you've just joined us. You're very welcome here, although it's going to end very soon. There was no particular subject. I was just looking at some YouTube comments and responding to the chat. We're just hanging out, and you're very welcome to join us. Miguel says, wouldn't your mates give you kind of a funny look if you started speaking with an RP accent in the pub? It depends what you mean by an RP accent, because I think I mean, if you mean, because RP sometimes is used to refer to like how the Queen speaks. Maybe if I started speaking like the Queen, I would get funny looks. But I think I do. I guess when if I'm with friends and things, that's when I do drift more away from RP, wherever I am now. I don't know, but yeah, I guess they would. You just got to speak naturally. It's not as simple as just being able to switch RP on, or switch on Yorkshire accent or Brummie accent. You just speak how you speak, and I guess it depends on who you're with. And when I'm making a video or with students, I do speak differently to when I'm with friends. Yeah. Sorry for the stereotypes. Yes, I guess it is all stereotypes, but everyone's an individual. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to make this the last comment, and then I'm going to go, because it's been, how long has it been? Nearly an hour and 20 minutes, yeah. Amu Jayan, isn't it time that we embrace more accents? English is a global language. My area is literature, but I still have to teach the phonetic chart, and it's a struggle for me. Well, what do you mean by embrace? Do you mean as people trying to learn English, they should instead of focusing on one kind of standard, they should learn every single different regional variation? So instead of learning one word, you'd learn how that word is pronounced by an Australian, by a Scottish person, by a Welsh person, by someone from Birmingham, by someone from New York, by someone from California, by someone from Texas. Because it's all different slightly, but only slightly. So why not just pick a standard and accept that sort of other variations are variations from that standard? That's the way it is, and I think that's more useful than trying to learn everything, every different regional variation from the beginning. Now, you do need to become familiar with those other regional variations, otherwise you're not going to understand people. But I think that needs to come later, once you've got a foundation. Does that make sense? Let's see. Okay, yeah, I did say that would be my last comment, and the next question is, how can I improve my pronunciation skills? Well, I'll just touch on this. I mean, you just need to practice. And again, like I always say, pronunciation is physical. So try to figure out what mistakes you're making and figure out what those mistakes are physically, and work on the physicality. That's what I would say. Sorry I couldn't get into that more. Like I say, I need to end this stream now. But thank you very much for joining me. It's really been a pleasure. We didn't get through a huge number of these comments, so I'm definitely going to have to come back and do this again sometime. It's been fun. I will try to do this more regularly. So yeah, get commenting on my videos, and maybe you will appear in my next live stream. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I will see you again next time.